Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Ranking the Albums. That's right. We're going to try our best to get you one of these each and every Sunday. We're going to do the best we can. You might get lucky. You might get a couple of them in a week, or occasionally we might miss a week. Especially August is going to be tough because I have some very packed weekends coming up, and that's usually the best time when I can kind of get caught up on these. So we're going to do our best to bring you some of these. We have a load of them in the kind of pipeline. All right, so there's a lot of them that are being planned behind the scenes. A good chunk I'll be doing on my own. Some of these I'll have a co-captain or co-captains on. It all depends on the band, right? So, get used to this. We're going to try and bring back ranking the albums as often as we possibly can, at least once a week. Hopefully more than that, but we'll see. So let's get started. We got another one today for you here. There's so many really good bands that are out there, either more recent bands or older bands who, just don't have a big discography. And this is a band here that we're going to talk about that has only been around for about a decade. They've got 3 albums, 3 really good albums. I only just started listening to these guys not that long ago. Their new album just came out this year, and that was really my introduction to the band. And then I was so impressed with that, I went and checked out their other releases, and there's only 2 more. So I scooped those up, and I'm like, wow, these guys are really good. They're from Sweden. They call themselves adventure rock. I think we'll kind of find out a little bit why while we're talking about these albums. But the band is called Hällas, Hallas. Okay, there's the guys right there. 2 guitar players, bass player, drummer, and keyboard player. All right, and here's the 3rd album, Conundrum. All right, so like I said, 3 albums. First one came out in 2018, so they've been around since like 2011, but they only just started releasing albums the last couple of years. So 3 albums. I'm going to go with my, I don't even want to say least favorite, because all 3 of these albums are almost identical in quality. I've actually changed my ranking numerous times here because I can make a case for any of them being number 1 or number 2. I keep switching them. And I finally said, you know what? I'm just going to make an executive decision and stick with it. The guys in the band, I hope I pronounce all these right. Tommy Alexanderson on lead vocals and bass. Alexander Moraidis on guitar. Marcus Peterson on guitar. Nicholas Malmqvist on organ and synthesizer. And Kasper Eriksson, drums and percussion. So let's get started here. So I'm going to pick as my number 3. Again, could be my number 2, could be my number 1. I'm going to go with their debut, which is called Excerpts from a Future Past from 2018. Again, let's take a little look at the Digipack booklet here. So debut album, you could argue that this one is slightly heavier than the albums that come after it. I don't know, because this is a really interesting band. So they call themselves adventure rock, which, again, I don't know what the hell adventure rock is, but they're really big on fantasy lyrics, dealing with knights and warriors and all that sort of thing. And there's a real epic nature to this music that you just can't deny it. It's just epic. It's majestic. It's certainly 70s prog. It's certainly 70s hard rock. It's certainly like late 70s, early 80s, like epic classic heavy metal, right? But it's almost like none of those things. It doesn't go too deep into any of those areas. It's never too heavy. It's never too proggy. One thing I will say, if you love classic sounding twin guitar harmonies, man, these guys must be enormous Wishbone Ash fans. So if you love like those first 4 Wishbone Ash albums, specifically like the Argus album, Wishbone Ash, the first couple albums, the 4th album, man, you're in for a treat here. I mean, these 2 guys, Alexander and Marcus, man, it's almost like we've got Ted Turner and Andy Powell all over again, doing what they did best in the early 70s. I mean, all these songs on all these albums are filled with just exquisite twin guitar harmonies, just beautiful stuff. And then you throw in the Hammond organ and the Moog synth and occasional other keyboards. You get that big Deep Purple, Uriah Heep feel. The vocals are even different as well. The vocals are like not your typical Swedish style vocal, or, at times the vocals remind me of, think like John Anderson from Yes on those very first couple of Yes albums, pre the Yes album. Think also, for those of you who are fans of Manila Road, okay, great U.S. metal, hard rock and metal band who, sadly we lost lead vocalist and guitarist Mark Shelton not that long ago. Well, Tommy's vocals sound a little bit, if you take John Anderson and Mark Shelton and kind of put them together, it's kind of what you get here a little bit. For some people, the vocals might be a little strange and off-putting. I think they fit the music fairly well, though, because the vocals, they're not too aggressive, they're not too ethereal, they kind of float there. At times, there's not a lot of variety to the vocals, but I still think they fit the music so well, and the music is terrific. So, excerpts from A Future Past from 2018 debut album. Again, I mentioned maybe slightly heavier. The lyrics all fantasy-based. Music, things that I hear when I listen to this band, and specifically this album. Deep Purple, Uriah Heep. A hint of Black Sabbath, loads of Wishbone Ash, loads of Nectar, maybe even some more obscure U.S. prog from the 70s like Cathedral or Mirthrander. Certainly some classic Italian prog like Banco del Mutuo Soccorso, PFM, Premiata Fornero Marconi, Il Balletto di Bronzo, that sort of thing. Maybe very, very early Genesis like Trespass, Nursery Crime era. Maybe Little Camel, right? You got the Astral Seer kicks things off. Hard driving tune with some killer Hammond organ. Then you got Repentance, which lots of tasty twin guitar harmonies. Again, reminds me of Argus era Wishbone Ash. You got the Golden City of Samira, which is epic prog, big melodic twin guitar harmonies kind of weaving all over the arrangement. Excellent song. Vocals kind of floating over the top there. Again, huge Wishbone Ash influence. But there's also some nice, Heap, Deep Purple style Hammond organ, which is really cool. Star Rider offers up some spacey prog with more of those wonderful lead guitars. Then you got the Shadow of the Templar, which is faster, furious, or more hard rocking tune. Nice complex arrangement. You got the swirling Hammond, heavier riffs, twin guitar leads. Just a really, really great song. And then you got the album closer, which is Illusion Sky, which is a dreamy, melodic prog rock track with haunting vocals, really nice and intoxicating drums, floating keyboards bubbling around, nice tender guitar work. But then as the song kind of goes on, it morphs into like a harder driving, kind of like early Uriah Heep style rocker. Really good track. Not a weak song on here. Great album. I could rank it higher. In fact, I did many times when I was kind of putting this together. It's like, this is a really hard one to do because all three of these albums are just really great. I'm going to go with their second album, Conundrum, in my number 2 slot. Okay? Pretty cool artwork here. There's the guys working in the studio. Very much a 70s sounding prog album. I think it's not quite as rocking as the debut. Still rocks plenty enough though, but it's more of a prog album. I think I'm getting a strong Wishbone Ash Argus era feel here, mixed with early Yes. You got tracks like Blinded by the Emerald Mist, which just soar with multi-part vocal harmonies, twin guitar leads and harmonies, vintage sounding keyboards. Great song. You got Fading Hero, which is the closer, lush, spacey, nice crisp guitar riffs, nice vocal hooks. Kind of sounds to me like late 70s, early 80s Alan Parsons project, right? Beyond Night and Day reminds me of Hawkwind, which is really cool. You don't hear a lot of that in their music, but occasionally, big riffs and the kind of repetitive bass lines and things like that. You got Strider, which is more bluesy. You got the real epic sounding Tear of a Traitor. It's pure, majestic prog, lovely synths, driving rhythms, good hard rock riffing, tasty lead guitars. Carry On is more accessible. It's got more like kind of radio friendly hooks on it, but it's not, I wouldn't call it a radio track, but that's probably the most accessible track on here. And then you got Labyrinth of Distant Echoes, which is a must hear for any fan of more obscure like 70s prog. Again, think like Nectar, I mentioned Cathedral before, Mirthrander, Surprise, those type of like really, really obscure but really cool sounding 70s prog bands, right? Nice heavy riffs to play off the soaring vocals and keyboards on this one. Just a great song and a really, really great album. I actually had this at number 1 for a while. But then, re-listening to all these, I was like, well, I think I'm going to go with, for my number 1, the one that I got first, the brand new one, because remember, these are all brand new to me. The brand new album, which is on Napalm Records. They're now on Napalm Records. Isle of Wisdom. Love that album cover there. Third album, you get the big majestic opener on here, Birth into Darkness. Again, brings back those biting, melodic twin guitar leads, heavy Hammond organ, but the arrangement's a little heavier, than maybe stuff from the last album. Advent of Dawn also hints at more 70s hard rock and early metal, though Tommy Alexanderson's vocals, again, sound like, if you put John Anderson and Mark Shelton together, it's kind of what he sounds like. Earl's theme is more Wishbone Ash Love. Great lead bass lines too. You got some haunting prog and blues rock on the lush inner chamber. Illusion's Gate, heavier prog track, great riffs, loads of Hammond organ, big pumping bass. You got Gallivants of Space, easily the heaviest song on here. Kind of Black Sabbath meets Wishbone Ash meets Deep Purple. Big riffs, twin guitar harmonies everywhere, and heavy Hammond organ. Doesn't get much better than that. Outstanding stuff. And then Stygian Depths, to me, goes back to like Demons and Wizards era Uriah Heep. Literally, a lot of this album and a lot of these songs on these albums in general sound like they could have been recorded in 1972. And this just reminds me of some of the stuff, some of the arrangements, the feel. Sounds like Heap circa Demons and Wizards of Magician's Birthday. Great stuff. Really, really like that a lot. What else we got here? You got the epic sounding closer, The Wind Carries the Word. Heavy, big, furious riffing. Plenty of weaving twin lead guitars. The Hammond organ is there. Steady drumming. Big dramatic vocals. I really like this a lot. To me, these guys with each successive album just seem to get a little bit more mature, a little bit more confident in their playing and their songwriting, and these are really cool sounding albums. Like I said, really vintage sounding. If any of you fans of like 70s, heavy prog, if I were to not tell you a damn thing about these albums and play them for you, you'd probably be like, oh wow, what's that? Some obscure European or American prog from 74 or 75? And I'd be like, no, these are brand new recordings from a Swedish band. So yeah, that's how I'm ranking them. If you are a fan of the band, please rank them as you like them in the comments below. Good luck for those of you who are new to this band and you're going to go and maybe check out and investigate these albums and try and put your own ranking together. Like I said, they're all of equal quality. Tomorrow I may be like, you know what, I think the second album is slightly better than the new one. Or I may be like, you know what, the first album trumps the other two. They're all three are great. And, I love that they have a logo that is consistent across all the albums. Cool album artwork. Really good stuff. Like I said, if you love 70s sounding prog and hard rock and early metal all meshed together, a little space rock, big Hammond organ, loads of synths, twin guitar harmonies, heavy riffs, interesting different vocals, a mix of prog and hard rock and metal. I think I've said that already. The bass player's playing a Rickenbacker, the singer bass player's playing a Rickenbacker. You can kind of tell. This is wonderful stuff. And if judging by the photographs, one guitar player favors Les Pauls, the other guy favors Stratocasters. What a perfect combination, right? You get the best of both worlds there. So Hällas from Sweden. That is my ranking of the albums. Again, we're going to go Isle of Wisdom number 1, Conundrum number 2, and Excerpts from a Future Past number 3, but that could change tomorrow. So I think your homework is to go out and check these guys out and let me know what you think. And give the vocals a little bit of a chance because they are different. They take a little bit of getting used to, but I think they complement the music quite a bit. So there you have it, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. All together, all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that little notification bell down there. We also have down below in the video description, we've got the link to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, as well as the link to our merch page where you can get all sorts of cool Sea of Tranquility gear, right? So thanks for watching, everybody. This latest edition of Ranking the Albums. Stay tuned hopefully next week for another one. We got Chris Allo and I are working on a Venom ranking. We got Rick Labonte and I have a whole bunch of things that we want to work on. We're going to be doing Joe Bonamassa. We're going to be doing Flying Colors. Stephen Reed and I are going to probably do top 10 albums of Cheap Trick. We've got Tom Petty in the works. I've got more extreme metal like Dark Tranquility and Children of Bodom, and there's all sorts of stuff that I'm going to be working on. So stay tuned in the weeks ahead, right? So thanks again. I am Pete Pardo. Have a good rest of your weekend, and we'll see you real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.